about just having a chance to share some of the things that I do with regards to communication and speaking and personal development outside of the training that we get at Microsoft. A question for everyone, because one of the things that triggered this, I got every week, twice a week, I have on my agenda Toastmasters. How many of you have heard of Toastmasters, been Toastmasters members, have done outside training on speaking? So show of hands. Now those hands are heard of it or been a member of Toastmasters.
Only heard of it.
Just heard of it.
Heard of
Okay.
it, yeah.
I was in it for a
Right.
short time.
Well,
They kicked you
turns
out,
out-
Wyndham?
They kicked me out.
almost definitely not.
It's too controversial.
Turns out that the organization is actually the world's largest communication and leadership development organization with chapters in 180 countries. And it was founded back in 1920 with the idea, 1924 to be exact, with the idea that people could get better at an activity if they did several things on a consistent basis. So one was just practicing communication, but then thinking through the delivery, the development, and the cultivation of their conversations to be ready to speak at all times. Make sense?
Yes.
And they have educational projects so that even when there's not a lot on my calendar, there's always something that I'm working on and working toward. Has produced some of the best results of my life. And I want to share some of those things with you. So to get us started, I have a question. Hang on, let me move this guy to this screen. When I share it, I know it looks like I'm looking up at you now, but that'll work out. All right, so for our first documented weapon of mass destruction,
Make it dynamics, baby.
they're on the hill. Thousands upon thousands he slew with the same weapon has killed many relationships, splendid deals, opportunities, and friendships. Can anyone identify who this is or what that weapon is? Okay.
Is that Samson?
That is Samson. And his implement of mass destruction,
Is an ox jaw.
jawbone of an ass.
An ass. Yes.
And when I started into my career as a pre-sales person, pre-sales, that was the career. What I found was I was exceptional with technology. I loved having the toys, all of the individual things. But I was not necessarily prepared until I met my first pre-sales mentor. His name's Paul Santa. And Paul said, yes, you're like me, Richard. We're these geeks that speak. And the main thing that we have to do is understand that we got to practice more than we play. So, briefly about me, if I think about my career and evolution, all these years in technology and the customers that I've studied, the technology has always evolved. And one of the things I've been conscious about in my own growth and that I highly recommend for everybody is, as the technology grows, also make sure to grow you. So we got better about goal setting and self-actualization, but specifically when it came to facilitation, fitness, and fun. Those are things I try to make sure are part of my routine, my regimen, every single week, every single day, just finding a place to do the things that bring joy. And one of my hobbies, this is what happens when you have presentations as a part of what you do, is they invite you to talk to bigger and bigger audiences. And the fundamental thing about Toastmasters is this concept, providing a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. And I've gotten pretty good at some things, so I have some facilitations, was one of the first certified virtual presenters by eSpeakers. And then when Toastmasters, because the nature of that group was we get together and speak, had to go virtual, I had a whole series of things that I was able to deliver at their World Convention for moving people without seeing them. And those of you that got to learn how to do the wobble with me have also heard part of the persuasion equation. Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what happens in this hour power, is four things that are normally a part of my Toastmasters meetings, meaning there's a better attitude section, a better speaking section, a better thinking section, and a better listening section. Now, suffice it to say, for the purpose of today, we won't have a fully formed Toastmasters meeting, but if you think about the better attitude section, literally that's somebody that gets to stand up in front of people and tell a joke. How many of you know that that's a difficult thing for a lot of us to do? But if you repeat a behavior often enough, you create the comfort zone and get away from it. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Better speaking is prepared speech projects, meaning Toastmasters has a full curriculum that goes from level 1 to level 5 in any individual area. The accolade that I got last week was I completed level 5 in the motivational strategies curriculum. And that curriculum included everything from a very basic introduction of myself to facilitating a panel. And my final project in there was teaching and better listening approach. Most speeches in the better speaking segment are prepared. They are 5 to 7 minutes, and they have a designed individual written evaluation that goes with them. Because there is a fallacy that is commonly out there. They say that experience is the best teacher. In fact, it is not. It is evaluated experience that's the best teacher. The hardest thing to improve about our communication and speaking skills really is quantifying feedback and looking for specific areas of improvement. So better speaking gives you project by project, level by level, individual areas to focus on. So one day it might be vocal variety. On another day, it could be your body in motion, which got to be a really big issue while we were all 18 inches away from our audience through these monitors, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And then the section I want to focus on today is, so better listening follows the better speaking portion, meaning there's an evaluation team that is actually evaluating every aspect of our delivery. Most important in that team is a timer who's keeping track of time, because we have to start and end on time. And if you're planning a preparation or competition, time is our most valuable asset, most valuable form of currency. And it's always non-refundable. Once it's gone, it's gone. But you'll also have a grammarian who's checking for the use of grammar and language during the course of the day. We literally have one person set aside who is counting ums, uhs, ers, so's, buts, and any non-words that we habitually insert into our conversations that take away from our credibility. And last but not least, for each speaker, there is an assigned evaluator that is looking for the specific criteria that that person is working on. I saved the element that I want to work with us today, or that I suggested to Dan. This is something that at the times that I've been at Salesforce, at Oracle, has been really helpful for our career path particularly, is the better thinking portion. Formerly known as table topics, where an unprepared respondent gets a question they weren't prepared for and has to form a response. There are some parameters around the response. It has to be at least 1, but not more than 2 minutes. In most clubs, they'll give you 30 seconds grace on either side of that, but with the idea that we have a fully completed thought to summarize and answer a question. Now, why is this important to us in pre-sales? Well, I don't know what it's been like for you, but for me, there was always the stump the chump game, especially when I was in the startup world. Did any of you experience that same phenomena where no matter what you were prepared to say, there was a question that wasn't what you were prepared to talk about that day?
Oh, yeah.
Well, so as we think through our day to day, that's what I want to equip you with. So with table topics, let me do a couple of more things just to orient us around our activity for today. And this has always been fun. So I have the idea that we'll have some fun, that we'll learn some things, but also build some skills that we can learn over time. So again, if you ever join a Toastmasters meeting, I tell people this is one of the highest values there is, because the higher you get along the communications ladder, the more likely you are to be on someone's podcast or radio show or television show, or to be in a conversation with your wife and really have to think about what you're about to say before you say it. And today I'll actually do two roles. Normally I would divide these, but just for the sake of time, I'll stay on as the table topics master, relatively picking the questions randomly along with the speaker. Normal Toastmasters meeting, respondents would be asked to stand and deliver. Now, why is standing and delivering important? Well, standing changes your energy and your dynamic, but also gives you fuller range of your body for speaking. Today, I won't ask you to stand, but I will ask if you're facially available to join me on camera so that I can see you as we go through the process. One of the major things that you have to think about when it comes to our credibility or how we're perceived by the audience is that in every conversation, imagine these statistics now, that 55% of what people take away are from visual cues. So if we're speaking, but only our glamour shot is showing, a lot of the expression, the joy, the angst, the curiosity, the energy that we have, they don't get access to. The same time, the next 35% or so is given to the tone of voice. It's how fast or how low, how soft or how slow we said the words that we said. And then only 7% are actually the words that we speak. Now I know someone is, that's not my statistics, by the way, that's from the Moravian study. And someone saying, do the words not matter at all, Richard? Yeah, they really do. It's just a challenge in our society. We've gotten so used to the shorthand of chats and chat messages that we forget that there are people under the covers that need to experience us. All right. So timing sequence again for today, I'll change my background as we go through, representing relatively where we are in our timing sequence. So you'll get the green background for me at 1 minute, yellow at 1.5, red at 2 minutes, with the goal being to talk for at least the first minute, but not longer than 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Add a twist to the context for today is I will need somebody to help me out as a grammarian just to count words. The word I'd like to use today is spontaneous. Spontaneous is the adjective. You know the word coming or resulting from a natural impulse or tendency, without effort or premeditation, natural and unconstrained, unplanned, a spontaneous burst of applause. Also in description of a person given to acting upon sudden impulses for natural phenomena arising from internal forces or causes independent of external agencies, self-acting, growing naturally or without cultivation as plants and fruits, indigenous. And then last definition is a natural process. So spontaneous is our word. Now you ask the question, Richard, well, why would you give us a random question and a word for the day? Think about this as skill. how often do customers perceive us differently when we mirror and reflect their words back to them? So even though I might have a planned agenda of the things that I would say in a normal meeting, if I pick up that a word is important to a customer, either in my discovery or as they discuss their pains, even if our Microsoft terminology is different, the next time I talk to that customer, I'm using their word all day, every day, because when you sound like them, does that make sense? So let me pause for a second and ask, are there any questions on what you heard so far? How's everybody feeling? Who's excited about the process? All right, let's see.
No.
Oh, no, I'm afraid of it. I'm terrified. Well, don't worry, don't worry. The best thing is that we get to practice in a safe space, have fun, and learn. And by the way, in Toastmasters, they even have contests for for everything that we do. So in the state of Georgia, I actually was the table topics champion, and I coached the next 5. They were all members of clubs that I was a part of, and I taught them my secret winning formula. Would anybody like Richard's secret keys for table topics being ready when you're not? Don't make me force information on you.
Yes, I would love it.
Okay,
Please.
so think about this. When you think of the word wreck, what comes to mind for you? Just brainstorm. Let's see if you get my words on here.
I
Cars.
think it
Vessel.
I think it trains.
Car wreck,
Yeah.
train wreck,
Shipwreck.
shipwreck,
Think of
train wreck,
my
big wreck.
brother-in-law.
Down in the corner, if any of you that are from the state of Georgia are familiar, that's the Ramblin' Wreck from Georgia Tech. It was in one of my friends' weddings. But 2 of my other favorite wrecks that nobody ever guesses, but I always like for them to be seen, is on the left, that is the Wrecking Crew. Always opponents of Hulk, Thor, and She-Hulk. They're in that class of strength. They actually did premiere this year on Disney Plus. And then anybody remember Rex in Effect?
Oh,
Oh,
gosh.
All I want to do is
Start
boom.
shaking and moving all around.
Isn't there a Richard in Atlanta downtown? Isn't there a restaurant where you can go get a sandwich and you tell them to wreck it? Does that sound?
That is
It,
a
yeah.
very AT-alien thing. I'm trying to think of the name of the restaurant now.
Yeah, it's downtown. It's right next to the convention center.
So if you can remember all of these recs, the acronym that I use is LIPREC. That's my secret formula. If you're taking notes, write that down. If you're not taking notes, just take a note somewhere to write down LIPREC. It will save you from being shipwrecked in the middle of a conversation by being able to think intentionally and plan a response. Now, when it comes to LIPREC, the LI at the beginning stands for listen. One of the biggest challenges that we have is we're in an always on, always outputting mode, especially for the length of meetings that we have. Even when we get the opportunity for scheduled discovery, oftentimes we have to relax and use different modalities to aggressively listen, right? Second, pause. I advocate that even if you know the answer off the bat for what you get asked, that you pause, take a breath, to let your thoughts come together and congeal. Make sure that as the question is asked, you find a way in your response to reiterate or reflect that you heard what was said and then respond. Answer the question and then close. So those in order again there. Listen, pause. What is one of those silly words, isn't it? Depending on inflection, it could be anything from the turn up at the club, as in Lil Jon's what, to you are nearing divorce situation when Nikki says it with the right angle of her head and tilt of her neck. Respond, close. Listen, pause, what, respond, close. Second, as you're organizing your thoughts, think about your strategy. Because of the way questions are asked, there'll be variable. Sometimes you'll want to express an opinion. Sometimes you'll want to, some questions lend themselves to there being a cause and effect approach. Often, I like breaking topics down into components. And then in some questions, you'll find elements of the past, present, and future in terms of your responses. Now, as we progress with this exercise, my design intent is to ask questions that you would normally find. Oops, I lost you on my screen. There we are. I would normally ask you questions about our products, our technology, our competition, etc. But today we just have random questions that you will be able to answer. Is everybody okay with just random questions that you can answer? And let's see, who are our participants? So we got Alessandra, Dan, Randall, Catherine, Ian. So let me check my randomizer.
I say if you don't have your camera on, you're automatically.
You're first.
Just kidding.
All right, so let's see.
Hey, Kat, should we pull out the wheel of death?
Well, actually, we are. It is the random wheel of questions, but it is also random wheel of random order. So let's see who on this list is not present today.
I think we've got everybody.
This is giving me major training flashbacks.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, we don't have Matt. Mr. Whitman's not.
So Troy's not on.
Troy too.
And Matt.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yep. I should have pinged them. Let me
All right. So all of these people are present, yes? And
Yes.
randomly sorted. Here's our speaking order. So Dan, you're up first. Welcome to the Wheel of Questions. Wheel of Questions. So again, our guidance is 1 to 2 minutes, no more than 2 minutes or 30 seconds.
Standing
and
up for this.
on victory.
I'm just gonna stand up. Wow. That's a lot of
Overachiever.
questions.
I can't
Let us
read that,
spin the
Richard. I'm
wheel.
out.
And I cannot read that.
Not yet.
It'll bring it up.
Oh, okay. I've never done this virtually. I've only done this in person.
Jeez. Favorite song and why?
So Dan, what is your favorite song and why?
Better be Megadeth.
What is your favorite song and why? Dan?
How many times are you gonna ask me?
Twice. Oh, in contest format. That's an important thing. It's if you're ever in a Toastmasters contest, they'll ask the question twice. That gives you a chance to listen to it twice, pause as you formulate your response.
Okay. Okay. So the question is, what is my favorite song and why? In 8th grade, it was my first dance. And I went to the dance with a few friends of mine. And as you can imagine, in 8th grade, especially in the 80s for me, the dress code was pretty subpar and embarrassing. Pinch rolled jeans, pink shirts, rolled up cuffs. It was bad. Randall, you know what I'm talking about.
I know Shamba.
And I had not danced with a girl before. I ended up dancing with a girl that I actually had my eyes on. And we danced to Def Leppard's Pour Some Sugar on Me.
However you dance to that.
In a slow dance style. How you do that, ask the master. It's possible. The song ends. And we both were kind of like entranced in our dance. Our eyes were closed to Pour Some Sugar on Me. The song ended, and I tried to go in for a kiss. This is 8th grade. And she opened her mouth up like, oh, like that during the kiss. And so I didn't know how to react. So I just went like that too for the kiss. And from all outward appearances, it looked like we were doing the serious kiss, but we weren't because we didn't know what we were doing. We were in 8th grade. While this was happening, both of our eyes are closed. All of a sudden, we hear a bunch of cheering, and the entire dance floor had backed off, formed a circle around us, and were calling for me for president. It was really, really embarrassing. So that is why it's my favorite song, not because of how embarrassing it was, but because it was a poignant moment in my formative years. Thank you.
But that's your favorite song? Pour Some Sugar on Me?
Man, I listen, my favorite band is probably Led Zeppelin. But when it comes to defining life, music, it's probably going to have to be Def Leppard, because that was a band in my, teenage, adolescent years. Don't judge me. Don't judge me.
No, dude,
Nice.
Def Leppard, like the guy with one arm. I mean, it was just like,
Dude,
how does he do it?
I
Does he play
know.
the drum? I mean, it's impressive.
Yeah, thank you. Now I don't feel so awkward. And let's listen to the younger people. Just listen to a little bit of Def Leppard and you'll understand. All right.
Def Leppard, adding to the list and claiming myself on the list of young people.
So how did I do? I know I said a few times there.
So you did great. So let's pause. Let's reflect on that. So first, how do you think you did?
I don't think I did very well. I didn't have structure to my talk.
I think you told a good story.
You told a good story.
Yeah.
Good
You
story.
told a good story. And it's one of those things, just consciously for all of us, there's such a habit, especially when we're going back further in our memory, for all the ums and ers to come back, especially if we're sharing a vulnerable, uncomfortable topic. So that's the cool thing. It's got to learn something new that we would not have known. And now Pour Some Sugar on Me will be at every one of our functions.
God.
All right. So next up we have Rob. You ready to spin the wheel?
You bet.
All right, let's get it. And the wheel goes round and round and round and round. And who is found? Oh. Rob Grimaldo. What's your favorite movie and why? Rob Grimaldo, what's your favorite movie and why?
Okay. Okay. My favorite movie would be, this is a tough one for me. I'm very bad at, I'm much better with music. I had my answer ready to go. But with movies, if there is a category that I'm not strong in, it would be that. If I can think of, I saw a recent movie that I enjoyed, and it was on Edgar Allan Poe. It's on Netflix, actually, and you might see that come up for you guys now that we're talking about it, and our phones are listening to every word that I'm saying. So now I'm sure you'll be prompted with a nice Edgar Allan Poe in your recommended list on Netflix. And so what excites me about that movie is that it takes place in 1830s. I love history, and the 1830s is one of my favorite eras in American history. And what I liked about it is it features a crime that takes place in a military academy, and the crime takes place. Lots of people start dying. I'm not going to give away the movie now because that would take away the purpose of you guys seeing it. But I recommend it if you like a little bit of history, if you like a little bit of it's a fiction, just to start off with, and if you know a bit about Edgar Allan Poe, you'll see some Easter eggs embedded in the movie. But it's very exciting, and I recommend it if you like history, military, and maybe a little bit of the occult as well. So that's
Ooh.
just my summary there of the Edgar Allan Poe movie, which is my most favorite movie I've seen since, but definitely not the most impactful, like the story we heard before. So how did I fail, Richard?
Did you?
There is no failure.
I mean, here's the thing. We're practicing.
Yeah.
And here's what I want you to think about, especially, relaxing into the exercise is your first words. One of my speech coaches teaches that the first 11 seconds of any response that you have relatively dictate how much attention a person will pay to you.
Mm.
So if we can consciously, even if you take a long pause, take as much pause as you want, but avoid using a non-word as your first.
I nailed that one, Ed. I think
This is what we find in evaluation, right? Watching other people and what they do well and where they struggle usually helps us get better faster. Does that make sense? So you did not fail, other than, I don't think I know the name of the movie. Is the movie called Edgar Allan Poe?
Yeah.
Because
I think so. I think it is.
Like if you this isn't a Toastmaster, this isn't a tabletop
I got a link.
contest. Like they have a full ballot where they're literally grading your content and structure first. That's the highest amount, is did they answer the question, right? Second highest points go to delivery. Were they confident? Were they assured? Where is their answer valid? And then the third, lowest points, by the way, lowest points, there are only 10 of the 100 points possible, go to things like grammar and sentence structure, ums, ers, and uhs, except there is that subtle part of our brains that processes ums, ers, and uhs as lack of confidence in the response. Does that make sense?
It does.
How do we
Richard,
get better about those?
Richard, not only was the movie not called Edgar Allan Poe, but it was called The Pale Blue Eye. So yeah, just that was a really good question.
All right, let's see. Do we remember who is next? No, we don't. Let us go to our random order of lists. And it's Richard. Damn it. I forgot to take myself off the list. All right. Let's see how I play my own game, shall we?
You guys get your pens out.
I'm counting your ums.
Well, somebody be a timer for me. That's one thing, as I will get. What's one idea that you have changed your mind about
Jeez.
throughout the years? What's one idea that you have changed your mind on throughout the years? Mr. Table Topics Master, I've changed most of my ideas about most things several times throughout the years. But the big change in idea for me has been my perception of failure. I was a straight A student, and I worked really hard to get all of the right answers when I was asked the question in school. So from my 8th grade through my senior year, I didn't get any grade below 93. Wait, don't clap for that. That's inner city public school in the South. So we call you things that are not your given name when you make those grades. But as I've matured and watched through life, I actually had an incorrect map, meaning my biggest failures have eventually become my biggest successes. So that instead of going from successes over here, failures over there, the way to get more success is to avoid failure. What I found when I was doing that was I tended to just stay right here in the middle and do nothing. But if I failed forward a little bit, if I made an effort to do something different, that the bigger successes were over here, just outside my comfort zone. So summarizing, most of my ideas about most things have changed several times over time. But my biggest is that success is not the avoidance. The path to success goes right through the failures, the bumps, the bruises, and the interrupts. If we fail more often, we'll succeed even bigger. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Totally planted, completely rehearsed.
How many times have you done these, Richard?
I just grabbed these questions last night, so
No,
this is
I'm
a
just
fresh
kidding.
fact.
I'm just kidding.
Now, how many times have I done table topics? Thousands.
No,
Like,
that
if I think
feel
about
like,
it,
yeah.
I started Toastmasters. It was one of the most beneficial parts to me of my time at IBM was that they had a Toastmasters club, meaning I was at a small company that I liked. But we got acquired by IBM, which is kind of like being assimilated into the board. I did not enjoy that experience. But every Tuesday at 12, there were 20 or so happy people doing this stuff. Make sense?
Did you did they do table topics with you guys at Oracle? Or no?
At Oracle, well, I started I'm still a member. Like my Thursday meeting is the Oracle Atlanta Toastmasters Club. Like I started that club back when I worked
Okay.
at Oracle.
So
And
that's why
I've
I was
left-
joking with Randall, because they used to do that with us, and then my manager, who now is at Microsoft, decided he wanted to do table topics every
Oh,
Friday.
geez.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So
This-
Who was your manager, Alessandro?
Rob Contreras for like 6 months at Oracle
Rob
before he
was a-
came. Yeah,
I didn't
before he
realize
came.
Rob was at Oracle. Okay.
Yeah, but he was there for a really short amount of time. And he was my manager when I was living in Manhattan, and then he left after like a short amount of time. And every Friday we met in the office because we were all remote, and we would do table topics every single Friday.
It's awesome. I mean, what it does is gives us a chance to practice before we play. Like that's still my mantra this year is professionals practice more than they play. And I had a lot more time for practice this year than normal years, but worst time to start working on your presentation skills is when you're doing a presentation. Let's work. All right, who is next on our wheel? Do we remember?
I believe I am.
Is it Ian is up next? All right, let us resume and spin the wheel for Ian. Da, 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 da. Ooh.
Uh,
Make a case for cats being better than dogs to a dog person, which I am. Make a case for cats being better than dogs to a dog person. Ian.
So one of my favorite things to do is to travel. My fiance and I will travel. We go to Europe. We go down and visit her family in South America. And one thing is, when we go to these faraway places, what we do is we spend a lot of time there. So it's weeks at a time. And you know what's the worst thing about a dog is that you can't leave them alone. They always need that attention. They're like that clingy boyfriend or girlfriend that you had in high school that they just constantly need your attention, or even like a little baby where you're just like, ah. So every plan that you ever have, you just have to be like, so what am I going to do with the dog? And you go and you have to do either doggy daycare, bring up someone to come to your house and house sit your dog. But let me tell you about this. With cats, all you have to do is give them a litter box and a thing that just gives them food and water automatically. It could be for weeks. They can sit there, they're fine. In fact, they're protecting your place from the rodents that could be coming in and infesting your house. You don't have to worry about those mice, those rats. No, they're apex predators for what they're doing. And with their, just as a traveler myself and someone that likes independence, I think that cats are really a superior pet. And I'd open to the floor to see if anyone really questions that kind of thought. And I'll end it there. I do not believe anything that I just said, but if I had to go that route, that's how I would do it.
That was awesome.
Excellent. That was really
That
good.
was good.
That was good.
I mean,
Thanks.
it doesn't make me not allergic to cats, but it was really well done. I think, especially if it's a contrarian opinion for you, like arguing another person's point of view. I mean, are you a dog person or cat person?
Yeah, I am. I normally my dog's in the background, but I can hear him outside the door right now. So it's like,
Yeah,
buddy, close
he's
your
right
eyes."
over
Barking
there.
at you.
Can't believe you. All right, let's see who is next on our list. All right, we have Catherine. Kat, are you ready?
As much as I'd like to talk, I have like no voice right now because I lost it last weekend. So
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Uh-oh. So now you will have the first instance of table topics with only nonverbal cues. There'll be no words in this response. Let's see. I'm open to offering you the pass. Like, it's one of those things. If you don't have a voice, I won't. My daughters are both musical theater performers. So when the instrument goes, rest it, rest it, rescue. Yeah, as a matter of fact, with no voice, go to bed. We have discretionary
Right.
time off. Your voice will come back faster if you go to sleep and hydrate. Stage dad talk. Sorry. All right. All right. So next up we have Alessandra. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's take a spin on the wheel. Hang on. Get this back. Spinner, spinner, spinner. Can we pick a winner? And the next question is, ooh,
Gosh.
despite
Oh my
vast-
goodness. I would get this. I would get this one.
Everyone
Despite
tune in.
I can
Vast
barely even read that. Hold on.
technological, economical, and innovative progress.
Oh my
Why
goodness.
do you think depression is on the rise for the masses? Despite vast technological, economical, and innovative progress, why do you think depression is on the rise for the masses? Alessandra. Oops.
If we look at the way things have progressed recently, so I can't say that I am the right person necessarily to speak to the way things were in the very past because I am on the younger side of things. However, even from when I was a child and to now, the way that technology has progressed, even though there's a lot of positives to that, there are some negatives that have come to that as well. If we think about Instagram or social media, there's a lot of positives that have come out of that, whether it's exposure to new things or it's just being able to keep in contact with people who are not close by. But you also see the negatives of that effect as well. So things like cyberbullying, things like comparing yourself constantly to others because of the ability and exposure to seeing what others are doing, that has also resulted in negative effects. If we think about why all these technological or economical progresses have eventually led to what I think is going to be a depression of the masses, and maybe why that's actually a good thing, is because of the fact that eventually these great successes and these great advances come crumbling down and we go back to the beginning. We start over from the beginning and see that the way things used to be sometimes are more beneficial. Now, that's not to say that some of those advances shouldn't stay, but sometimes that depression ends up happening because we get a little bit ahead of our skis instead of realizing the positives and negatives of those advances and the effects that those have on people. That's it. I would get something like that.
Outstanding.
So why are dogs better than cats? I don't. She didn't answer the
I'm
question.
like, can I get an easy one? It's like, oh, favorite this, favorite that. And then it's like,
Oh, no cat is better than that. Now, is that Bichon? What kind of dog do you have, Ian?
Some kind of
A
doodle.
golden doodle.
Golden doodle.
Like-
me
Okay.
too.
every-
I have one too.
Yeah, he's great. Doesn't shed. So that's really nice.
Well, I have a first generation, so he's more of a golden retriever than he is a doodle. So
Yeah,
he still
yeah.
sheds a little bit.
Yeah,
Oh.
he's technically F1B, so he's more poodle.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was
Well,
told I
that-
got a mini, and my dog is 72 pounds.
Are you
Yeah,
guys
you
talking
should-
about cars or dogs? I'm confused.
So now,
Mine
I
was supposed to be
guess,
20 and he's
Alessandra,
40.
back to your question though. Turns out it was an intimidating looking question, but you handled it really well.
Yeah, I
Yes.
didn't know if I did. I was like, I don't even know if this is making sense.
It makes
does.
sense. I mean, and as you were speaking, I started thinking through. So I did a terrible job on your timing. So I probably cheated you 10 seconds. Yes.
Fine.
It's one of the hard things. Even in my Toastmasters club, I'm least likely to volunteer to be the timer because I get really caught up in what people are saying.
I can understand that.
But here's what I want you to think about. If you think through the formula, that's one where a second listening helps, right? You hear that the first part of that structurally is a long preposition, but the actual question is, why do you think depression is on the rise for the masses? Right? So it is one of those where specifically listening and pausing to say, what he asked me? What
Mhm.
he asked is, why is depression on the rise for the masses? Good question, good response. How'd you
Thank you.
feel?
Pretty good.
It
I,
felt like it made
I-
sense to you?
Yeah, no, I feel like I tend to concentrate when I'm doing these kind of things because we used to record them. So when you got up, they actually recorded them and then they would send them to you to like look at. So every time I did that, I would focus on my filler words or my buzzwords that I would constantly repeat. So now when I am presenting, I tend to try to, if I'm going to say one of my buzzwords or my filler words, I actually pause. Because if not, I end up saying mine are definitely, I say absolutely sometimes. Those are all my, especially when I'm demoing, because someone will say something or I'll be going through and I'll be like, absolutely or definitely. It's like my automatic go. It's my go-to. But
And
no, it felt fine.
that's a skill. A lot of people, as they're learning this process or going through Toastmasters, have to learn. That's what I had to learn was pause. You don't know what you're getting ready to say next. Definitely don't say, just pause. And what you'll find when you pause is people lean in and listen. And having good substitutes for your fillers, as long as you're not caught, that works as well.
Well, I feel like most people get awkward. They feel like pauses are awkward, so they don't do them. So they just like keep going.
Mhm.
Because if not, especially virtually, I feel like sometimes if it pauses, people are like, wait, did he stop talking or is it a
Did the internet
lag? I
freeze?
can't, yeah, I can't tell if he's frozen. So that's why sometimes I feel like people tend to not pause. It's just because it feels awkward to you, but it doesn't always feel awkward for the other person.
Well, Alessandra, in a virtual setting when we're on video and you start talking, you can't think of what else to say after. What you
Yeah.
can do is just practice to be like keep your mouth open, but be very, very still. So it does look like your video is frozen until you have your thoughts together.
All right. And last but not least, we got Randall on the wheel. Now, I've seen Randall do table topics probably more than anyone. We always have a plan in these conversations and customer meetings, but sometimes he just asks stuff that we would not expect to happen.
Wait, what about
Let's see.
Cody?
Whoa, hey. If
Wait,
Randall,
is
we're at
Cody
Randall,
next?
we're at Randall, okay?
Let's see who's next, honestly. Oh, it is Cody.
All right.
Oh.
Well, and I got a call right at 10 o'clock. So, it's you better really
Aw,
make it quick, Cody.
shucks.
All right,
I'm
here we
kidding.
go. Spinner, chicken dinner. And for our question for Cody today. Oh no!
Yeah, you gotta,
Use
you gotta
Chat
change it.
GPT.
You're supposed to eliminate it. You didn't eliminate it.
I did not. Let's spin again. But
I've
that
heard a
says
good
that it's
pitch for that
random.
one.
You can randomly hit the same thing in a chance.
So
You got
could
a
Chat
20 chance.
GPT give us a table topic? We should just use that.
Ooh,
Say,
There you go.
what type of music do you like most and
oh
why?
geez.
Cody, what type of music do you like most and why?
Toastmaster, that is a great question. And I will say, based on my jacket and being from Mississippi, I would think the assumed answer most people would get is country. However, that couldn't be further from the truth. And my actual favorite type of music is rap and hip hop. And that takes me to my favorite artist, which of course would be Eminem. And that stems from listening to the Slim Shady LP with my grandmother in her Cranberry Pearl pink PT Cruiser driving down the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida. And I'd like to tell you guys that when you see the PT Cruiser bumping down the road, it's a great time, inside and out. Everyone's having a fun time, and it's the music that gets you going. Now, this is when I was a younger child, and as I've aged up, my taste has evolved as well to move outside of just Eminem and D12 and the Detroit 313 area code and really get into the Hotlanta scene, where it's actually where I wanted to move post Mississippi to really get into that city vibe. But again, brought to Texas, trying to fight the stereotype that country is my vibe, despite having cowboy boots and the sick jacket I got this weekend. Rap is absolutely my favorite type of music.
Outstanding.
Nice. Nice.
Well done.
Now, Cody,
All
have you
the-
done this
all
before?
No, I've
You
never
like hillbilly rap?
Well, now
Can you
here's
reset a
some
couple
things
lines
that-
from Slim Shady? I'm not certain I know
Well, the real
that.
Slim Shady, please stand up. You did a great job at the beginning of the call, Dan.
The next thing we
You
know,
know,
it's
the
going to be
rappers
table
are just
topic singing.
imitating. Well, it's ironic because my son is a rapper. I don't know if you guys know that. Like, he's really a rapper, and his favorite rapper for a long time was Eminem. And I was like, but you know, Outkast went to school with him. No, but he knows all the Slim Shady lyrics. I'm trying to tell you, even right now, 24 years old, grown man. But here's something I like in particular about the story retelling. If you can ever fit in an adjective and a descriptor,
Mhm.
the pink PT Cruiser,
That's right.
it had alliteration and a visual element that I can't get out of my head. It's, you know, like, because I don't know what your grandmother looks like. So I'm picturing my grandmother in a pink PT Cruiser. Listening to Eminem, that's hilarious. All right. How'd you feel about it?
Felt good. Again, I can always tell when my heartbeat, anytime I talk, my heartbeat goes up pretty intense, but felt like I did okay. Only a couple ums. So
Very few arms, very smoothly delivered, and told a story that we will remember. Because that's the next element, is not just answering the question, is will they remember what you said? All right. And we spin the wheel one more time for Uncle Randall. Oh,
Oh, now.
The
What is your
TikTok
opinion on
expert.
TikTok app?
Randall, what is your opinion of the TikTok app? What
All
is
right.
your opinion of the TikTok app?
All right.
Randall.
Well, so let's see here. So there's some news this weekend. I think everybody is aware of it, right? There's a certain balloon from a certain country that traversed across our great country of America. Some people said it was a spy balloon. Some people said it was a weather balloon that went awry, from one of our contenders across the pond. So whether you feel strongly about should it have been shot down in Montana or should it have been shot down off the South Carolina coast, one thing's for sure is if you really care about security, you'll take that dang app called TikTok off your phone. Because you know what? The Chinese can send a spy balloon, they can send spy satellites, but they have an app installed on 240 million Americans' phones. And on your phone, it's collecting all kinds of data and it's passing that information over to the CCP today as we speak right now. So tell me, do you care about spy balloons? If you care about spy balloons, then you should delete TikTok off your phone today, right now. And if you want to forward me something funny, though, go ahead. I'll watch it, but I will not install the app on my phone. Hell no.
I'm moved.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's the
I'm
first thing my
I'm
daughter
convinced
does
you're
all
like
the
a
time.
YouTuber on the side.
What
She
a
sent-
call to action, Randall. What a call to action.
Like I can write the picket sign right now.
Yes.
She sends me my daughter
Now.
sends me TikToks all the time and I watch it, but then then you want to watch the next one, but to watch the next one, you got to download the app and I'm like,
That's
no,
right.
I'm not going to do it. So
It's
When it first
definitely
came out,
laced
when it
with
first
crack.
came out, yeah, when
Yeah.
it first came out, I downloaded it for like 10 minutes because I literally was just scrolling and then I realized it had been 10 minutes already and I was like, all right, this is done. It's off my phone. I was like, people
Yeah.
spend hours on that. Like
Oh,
yeah, I don't care about
hours.
the China connections as much as I do about the time suck that it is. I just can't.
Oh my gosh.
I can't.
Mhm.
So that's the main reason I don't put it on because it's just like it's this you go down in this hole of
it,
craziness.
is the
Of
exact
mindlessness.
feeling. And it's, it's one of those things as I think about as a family with a lot of singing and dancing, like my daughters are so TikTok addicted, but it's
Yeah.
well, so first of all, Randall, well done, smoothly delivered with emphasis and even a call to action. Because if you think about the questions that we get asked, part of our job is to answer the question, but especially if you think about who we are as sales professionals. I know we're the technical guys, so what we say has to be the most true of the people that we bring to the meeting, but it should also be moving as the answer to the question so that people have a reason to move forward with us. So again, I want to thank you guys for participating in the exercise. Tell me, how'd you feel about what you did today? What did you learn?
I'll say something really fast just because I think that it's the first time I think on a team meeting that we've all had our cameras on and that we've all been like talking that's not like work. I don't want to say work related, but it also builds like a little bit of a camaraderie as well as a culture just because of the fact that I mean none of us expected to be on camera. But it also it takes away a little bit of the remoteness that we all are.
Yeah, true.
So
Good.
Yeah, good point.
Great. Any other feedback? Because I see we're at the end of our time and I got to go to the dentist today because I got to go to the dentist every 3 weeks until they finish this bottom row. So,
It was
That
great,
was
Richard.
great. Yeah.
So-
thank you.
Yeah. awesome.
Thanks for
so
doing it.
when you're presented a question that you're not sure how you want to answer, remember you got to listen, pause, what? Respond and close. With that, I think we're done for today. Back to you, Dan.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Richard. Really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. This was great.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Have a good day. See
Thanks.
you.
Thanks, everyone.